And welcome to the KTC Broadcasting Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. I am Sam Davis along with Terry Reinhardt and Steve, our producer, our engineer, and we've got a new producer today. I don't believe I've got his name yet. Pardon me? Dakota Weston. Weston. Okay, I was close.
Yeah.
I've heard it both ways. But welcome to the show, and I hope you enjoyed that Andy Griffith little spot there. What it was football. Heard that as a child, and to this day, 50 years later, that's still some funny stuff.
I love it. I love it. And when you talk about what he's talking about, there's going to be a lot of pumpkins thrown around tonight. Don't ever feel.
Ain't that the truth? It's
I'm telling you.
There's going to be some folks going over to over to Forest View and over to Shelby saying, boy, this is some football.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. A lot of pumpkins.
But welcome to the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. Week 9, Terry.
Yes, it is.
We're through the preseason. We're deep into the conference schedules, and now we've got some programs trying to win conferences. We've got some programs trying to get that win to qualify for the playoffs. So we're doing some positioning now within the conferences, and the last 4 weeks, 4 more weeks to go.
They are, and a lot of teams are on big games tonight. And you mentioned one as we is getting ready to come on the air, West Lincoln. It's huge for West Lincoln to win tonight. It's their homecoming.
Awesome.
And you have defeated 2 teams on their homecomings the last 2 weeks. So don't lay down and get beat tonight on your home
Should a
field.
program like West Lincoln be offended when people schedule them for homecoming? Because growing up, usually you pick the worst team on your schedule to do your homecoming because you wanted it to be a festive atmosphere, a win, everybody's happy. Back in those days, they had dances after the games. But for a team to schedule you for homecoming and you go out there and beat them, and it happens twice in a row, you think a team should be kind of a little bit offended that they're the homecoming opponent?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If it was me and I was the coach, I would be offended that you put me on your homecoming.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just – I don't see no other way to look at it because, when you schedule your thing and you start looking at teams, you say, what game can I win because this is my homecoming. I don't want to have a defeat on this day.
Right,
and,
absolutely.
And that's the reason I'm looking at that game tonight. And we starting off with West Lincoln. People say, well, why are you starting off with them? These other big games, they are. But for West Lincoln, this game is huge because them other 2 wins mean nothing if you get beat tonight.
Oh, that's true. That's absolutely true. Well, there are 2 big games in the area tonight, but before we get into those, we want you to know the phone numbers to call because we want you to call us. Give us a call and tell us what your thoughts are on these games. In Cleveland County, give us a call at 704-482-1390. If you're in Gaston County, 704-435-3297. In Lincoln County, 704-735-8071. And you can always reach us via email at ktcpregame@gmail.com. So don't worry about phone charges. Those are all local numbers. So if you make a call from within one of those counties, and if you're in one of those counties, you're probably listening to us, give us a call. We want to hear what you have to say about these games tonight. And, Terry, what games do we have on the KTC broadcasting schedule tonight?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, on video tonight, and I'm going to tell you, folks, this is fantastic. We keep talking about this every week. You throw up your phone, you're watching one game, and you're sitting here and looking at another one. Couldn't ask for no more in high school football around these areas. But on video tonight, the Gaston County Game of the Week, South Point's at Forest View. Derek Smith and Daniel Howe and Kevin Hastings is down there at that game. East Burke is at Crest, Andy Foster, Tim Foster, and Rob Rube. Burns is at Shelby with Calvin Hastings and Dan Greer. Burns is at Shelby. Yeah, they can do it on two things.
We're going to have 2 teams at that
right.
game. That's such a big game. We've got to provide both fan bases, the Burns fan base and the Shelby fan base, with their point of view. So we're going to have 2 broadcast teams at that game.
Well, the big thing about that is the sponsors, and that's the reason you got to have them. But the other one, Burns at Shelby, Brent Pasco and Jeff Jones. And then you got East Lincoln at Newton Conover, Clint Spencer and Josh Collins. And on radio, on WCSL 1590, Cherville makes a trip down to one of the teams tied for first place, Highland Tech.
Go figure.
Milton Baker and Danny Aker. And on the Lincoln County Game of the Week, WLON, we just mentioned this one, 10:50, West Caldwell at West Lincoln, David Keever and Rick Mitchell.
And that West Caldwell at West Lincoln, again, briefly, that's a game West Lincoln should win easily, but it's a game that they can't stub their toe and make a mistake and lose.
Well, we look back at the games that they have played, and Bandy's just barely come out with a win over West Caldwell, 28-25. And, last week West Caldwell put up 26 against Maiden, but Maiden won 46-26, but they did put up 26 points.
Well, a big win by West Lincoln last week over Newton Conover, taking care of business within the conference, which is what you have to do week after week. And West Lincoln 6-1 overall, 2-1 in the conference, still have a shot at the conference title.
And I want to mention something about that game. I've heard a lot of stuff all week from different people about how the game was played, and West Lincoln's playing a Newton Conover team that didn't have but 17 players and moved up a bunch of JVs up to play them. I want to tell you something. When you beat somebody 48-19, I think was the final, when you beat somebody that bad, I don't care how many people you moved up or how many people was not on your team, you're pretty much manhandled them. Even if them other guys had been playing, my whole theory behind that, West Lincoln would have still won the game. It would have been closer, but I still think West Lincoln would have won.
Okay, the issue up at Newton Conover, were those kids dismissed from the team for the rest of the year or just for a short one-game suspension? Do you know?
No, I have no idea.
No idea. Okay. All right. Well, if anybody out there has any insight into that Newton Conover situation, give us a call here at KTC Broadcasting. And I want to voice one thing that you said. I want to thank you, KTCBroadcasting.com, not because you're my boss during this hour and a half, but because while I am at the Crest game tonight, I will have my iPhone and I get to watch the Burns and Shelby game or the South Point at Forest View game. And both of those games that I would kill to be at, but I have obligations otherwise at the Crest game. And plus, I don't think I could find a parking spot at either one of those other locations.
Early time getting there. If you're
true.
right, them people have already got out and they've got their little plug-in earphones on listening to us as they're already sitting inside the stadium.
Well, it's going to be a big game at Forest View Joe Alala Stadium as South Point brings in their number 2 state ranking into the Joe Alala Stadium, and 8-0 record, 3-0 in the conference. Forest View enters this game 6-1, 2-0 in the conference, having lost their first opener against South Carolina's Nation Ford 56-57. So, there's no lack of offense at Forest View as they're averaging 52 points a game. That's a high-flying offense.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. South Point makes this trip, and you're talking about a team that's 15-1 against Forest View. They've totally dominated this. The only time they lost was back in 2009, and it was a hard-fought 21-20 loss that they had back then. And, Forest View, we said from get-go this was a team that could defeat South Point. Well, here's your opportunity. Step on the field, show what you can do. I know you're going to pass, and Logan Bradley is one of the best at putting it up out there, but South Point, it was every time that we watch them, you can be like Ashbrook was last week, a tie at halftime, and then boom, 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 3 plays in the second half or something like that. Next thing you know, you're down by 21.
Well, Terry, we've seen South Point do that on 2 or 3 occasions this year where they've been tied or real close in the first half and then just pull away in the second half. So the coaches make good adjustments there. And we're going to continue talking about this South Point Red Raider at Forest View Jaguars game and the Shelby Burns game in this first segment. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
It's that time of the year again to start thinking about Christmas. Yes, it's just around the corner. And a good place to start is the Bargain Station brand name outlet. They've got something for everyone on your gift list. From jewelry and watches to sporting goods, including golf clubs. Also luggage and plenty of housewares, even bicycles, and they have toys for Christmas too. The Bargain Station Name Brand Outlet, 4400 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, next to Honda Motorcycles. Open Tuesday through Friday, 9:30 till 6, Saturdays 9 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Hi, this is Woody Durham for Mark Dedman's Carolina Trophies in Shelby. Through the years, I've seen a lot of trophies and plaques, and none appear nicer than those which come from Mark Dedman's Carolina Trophies. Their guarantee is not just a guarantee, but a promise for courteous service, the absolute lowest price, quality products, on-time delivery, and most of all, your satisfaction. Awards for all occasions, plus rubber stamps and engraving. That's Mark Dedman's Carolina Trophies in Shelby.
Come to Kibo's this summer for some refreshing ice cream. Kibo's has it packaged or hand-dipped in a cup or cone. There's also delicious Hunt Brothers Pizza and hot wings. Of course, you'll find Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Sundrop soft drinks, candy, cakes, milk, bread, charcoal, soap, tobacco products, oil, and don't forget to fill that vehicle up with gas. Kibo's, Highway 226 North at Zion Church Road in Shelby.
Packing that lunch for school? Then head to the Ora Supermarket and Broad River Hams for some great back-to-school lunch packing good deals. Broad River Country Ham, $5.99 a pack. Hormel lunch meat, $3.99 a pound. All meat bologna, $3.99 a pound. Boiled ham, $4.99 a pound. And sliced American cheese, $5.99 a pound. And don't forget the Pick 5. Pick 5 bags of frozen food for only $19.99. Ora Supermarket and Broad River Hams, 1026 East Marion Street in Shelby. They're the steak place.
There's never been a better time to switch to Nationwide and save. For auto, home, life, or business insurance, call Heather, Gary, Mark, or Gaylord at the Gaylord Brawley Nationwide Insurance Agency in Shelby. You can trust Nationwide, serving North Carolina customers since 1928 and number one for 20 straight years. The Gaylord Brawley Nationwide Insurance Agency, 1235 Falston Road in Shelby. Call 704-484-2680.
Come see what they've rounded up for this month at the Roundup store in Shelby. 3/4-inch ash plywood, good on both sides for $39 a sheet. Good on one side, just $29 a sheet. And the Roundup store has 1/4-inch hardboard paneling for $18 a sheet. 3-tab white shingles are $45 a square. And their wood buildings are built to last. Make your dream kitchen a reality at the Roundup store. 1610 East Dixon Boulevard, Shelby. Open 8:30 till 5:30 Monday through Friday. 8:30 till noon on Saturday.
And we're back at the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. Sam Davis along with Terry Reinhardt bringing you all the information you need for tonight's area high school football games. Right now in our first segment, we're breaking down the South Point at Forest View game. And what's the saying there? You've got two contrasting offenses. You've got a pass-happy offense at Forest View, Terry. You've got a run-it-down-your-throat offense at South Point. South Point, it's well known that South Point's weakness, if they have one, is their inability to defend the pass at a higher level. This is what Forest View does well. This is why I think most people are expecting a high-scoring game, because we're not sure if Forest View has the ability to stop South Point's triple option.
Well, when I look at this game, I start thinking, when you're how would you put it, a pass-happy team, like you said, the problem you have if you are not, how would I put this, keeping the other team out there on the field, their defense.
Right.
Sometimes it's going to be quick, and you're going to give the ball right back to South Point. And what's South Point going to do? They're going to line up and run straight at you. Here we come. The red bone's going to work itself, and you're going to have to stop us. I think time of possession in this game is going to be huge, and you think, well, okay, South Point's going to have the bigger advantage. Yes, they are, and plus Forest View's going to be able to score first or last or whenever. Forest View's pass happy. I don't know what I'm trying to get at here, Sam. I've got one team that's a darn good passing squad with Logan Bradley, and then the other team that runs to Tyler Bray that's going to run this red bone. I'm looking for a fantastic game. I don't know whether the quick outs for Forest View will be able to keep them in the game with South Point.
Well, I personally saw Forest View play over at Kings Mountain earlier this year. I was very impressed with Logan Bradley. Of course, at the time they had the running back Ford, who I'm assuming is no longer with the team due to some problems earlier this year. But Mo Neal's a capable running back. But that Ford kid was so quick. He added a dimension to that team along with Bradley that just made them so dangerous. But that said, I was so impressed with Logan Bradley's ability to get out of the pocket and find a receiver on the run. So if I had to throw $1 on the game and bet, I would pick Forest View. It sounds like you would pick South Point because it's hard to bet against a South Point team that A, is undefeated, and B, has beaten some quality teams in AC Reynolds, Shelby, and Crest this year.
The game that we saw, and everybody talked about was Hunter Huss. South Point turned the ball over. Hunter Huss stayed in the game with big mistakes by South Point. If South Point's running their offense like they run it well, I just find it hard for Forest View. A pick here, a pick there can change this game.
Absolutely.
And I look back, and the only conference loss for South Point since 2006. 2006.
7 years.
Yeah, was in 2009 against Forest View. The only one. 7 years of it, and the only loss they have is a Forest View loss in 2009.
Well, they have dominated the Big South Conference in the last 7-8 years. Crest was over in that conference for a while, and Crest was never able, while a conference member, able to beat South Point. They had beaten them prior to being as a non-conference opponent, but South Point owns the Big South. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And they will try to continue that dominance tonight, but they're going to be tested against a Forest View team that will come in. But exactly what you said, I think, is going to be the difference in this game. Does South Point fumble the ball like they did against Huss? Does Forest View throw a few picks? Does the defense get to Logan Bradley a few times? Turnovers, emotions can play a huge part in a high school football game. Coaching, I think both staffs are well equipped. If I had to give an edge, I'd give it to South Point because I've just seen them year after year after year get in a mess and then find their way out of it by making great calls and great adjustments. Mickey Lineberger at South Point is one of the best out there at making adjustments.
Will Forest View be too hyped? Big game, will they be too hyped? South Point, we've already seen them go up to Asheville and win on a home field up there of somebody, and then they've come back down here. Now you got Forest View. They're having to make that trip over there. So South Point winning on somebody else's field is nothing new. They do it year after year. Is this game too big for Forest View, knowing this is their game of the year?
Yeah. Well, we've got a phone call. Let's go ahead and take this call to keep him from having to hold too long. Hello, caller.
Hello there, Mr. Sammy Calvin. Hey, how you doing there, buddy?
Calvin, we're good. We're actually talking about the South Point Forest View game, but we would love your insight on the Burns at Shelby game tonight. You guys have been covering Burns, you and Dan Greer, all year long. You know them inside and out. What are your feelings on this game tonight?
Well, let's back up and say Forest View by 10 first, okay?
Okay, Forest View by 10. Calvin has thrown the gauntlet down.
There we go. This is going to be, this is the game of the year so far, and I've been lining traffic to get into the stadium right now, and as with the Burns Network, I'm going with the Bulldogs. But, however, I'll say that tongue in cheek because it would not surprise me if Shelby, defeats Burns tonight, especially, playing at home. So, looking for an exciting ball game. I'm not sure if Burns has faced anybody with the throwing capability like the Shelby quarterback George, and I'm not sure if Shelby has faced anybody with a defense like the Burns Bulldogs has. So, it's going to be a great ball game. I'd like the fans to come on out and come out early if you're going to find a place to park.
Well, we're 10 minutes till 6 here. How's the crowd out there already?
Well, they're rolling on in. I'm, pulling in right now, and I see some droves of people going down to the stadium. So they're already coming into the stadium. So they're coming on in right now. Going to be a huge crowd tonight, and expect a great game tonight, Shelby and Burns.
Well, go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, Calvin, I was looking here. I know Shelby is the number one scoring team in this league at 39.4 points a game, going against the best defensive team in this league, Burns, at 10.4. And, when we always talk about championships and stuff like that, we always say when it comes down to stuff like this, the defense is always the one that steps forward. But, just like I put up last week, I really think Shelby is going to be a little bit more than what Burns can handle.
Well, and you may be right. The old saying, good pitching stops good hitting, good defense, stops that good offense. But tell you what, a good offense, they can do numbers on a good defense, especially, with Shelby and the quarterback can bring something to Burns that they haven't seen this year. So we're expecting a great game. I don't like to do common opponents, but you kind of look at the Kings Mountain team and the Kings Mountain games, and if I'm a Burns Bulldog, I'm a little worried. Kings Mountain, one play away from defeating the Bulldogs. Shelby, of course, had no problem winning handily over Kings Mountain. So you put the common opponents there, and you got to say, well, if you look at that, then Shelby might have the edge there.
And again, you've got contrasting, just like the Forest View South Point, you've got two contrasting teams. You've got a team that's well-balanced with really, really good run defense in Burns, and then you've got a team that really likes to throw the ball in Shelby. So is Burns strong at stopping the pass? What's your opinion?
Well, I think they'll do an adequate job. I'm not saying they're strong. Of course, like you said, their forte is stopping that run, and I believe Shelby's going to find it tough to run against Burns. If Shelby wins tonight, I think it's going to be through the air. It's going to be air-wear tonight.
Air-wear.
Air-wear, if Shelby pulls one out tonight.
Well, it should be a great game. I mean, an awesome atmosphere, a full house, a typical Cleveland County rivalry game where we're going to have probably 3,000 to 5,000 people there. There'll be a lot of folks from Kings Mountain, a lot of folks from Crest that are bypassing their own games to go over to the Burns-Shelby game to see that. But again, Calvin, I want to thank you guys for making it possible for me to watch the Burns-Shelby game on KTCBroadcasting.com while I am at the Crest game, and also to check in on the Forest View South Point game.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the press box will have a TV tonight for the Cardinal-Dodger series.
Baseball. Who cares about the baseball other than the Cardinals fans?
On the mound for the Redbirds tonight. Go Redbirds.
Go Redbirds.
Yeah.
You have been a St. Louis Cardinals fan for 30 years, as long as I can remember.
1964.
So you
when I started pulling for the Cardinals, they had a pitcher. They had a young pitcher by the name, what was his name? Bob
Gibson?
Bob Gibson. That was him.
Yeah.
And he beat the Yankees in the World Series, and I've been a Cardinal fan since then, since 1964. So, go Redbirds.
Yeah. Well, what is the record in it? Is it not 3-2? St.
Well,
Louis?
Cardinals lead. Three games to 2.
Okay, see, you don't even have to worry about it now.
In series where Cardinals led 3-1, which they did in NCS playoff series, World Series, and such, they're 0-7. So being up 3-1 as they were the other day is not a good omen for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, we're going to change the title of the show from the Witherspoon Insurance Pregame Football Show to the Witherspoon Insurance Pregame Football Show and a little bit about baseball.
And baseball. There we go.
And baseball. And the World Series.
Come on out tonight, man. Shelby and Burns. And tell you what, like Louis Carpenter says, it's going to be a slobber knocker.
Well, it should be an awesome crowd, an awesome atmosphere, and hopefully an awesome game. I'd hate to see one of those guys just light up the other one, but I'm excited about that game, and you should be too. So, Calvin Haston, thank you so much for giving us a call.
I will. No problem. Tell Steve Roberts hello and tell him to take that Ducat off.
Yeah, he's proud of that Ducat.
We'll see you guys later.
All right, thank you. Enjoy the game.
Will do. Bye-bye.
That's Calvin Hastings along with Dan Greer tonight doing the Shelby and Burns game. We've also got the other broadcast team doing the game. Brent Pasco and Jeff Jones will be giving you the Shelby perspective from KTCBroadcasting.com. So a huge crowd over there. We're going to break down that game a little closer in just a minute. Let's get back to the South Point Red Raiders at Forest View. When I was putting this information together, Terry, their season record, who they played, how bad they beat them, top rushers, top passers for each team. When I got to South Point, I couldn't pick one name. There were three running backs. Tyler Bray with 1,037 yards, Jaquan Brooks with 879 yards, and DeAndre King with 687 yards. And he's averaging 10 yards a carry. Jaquan Brooks is averaging almost 9 yards a carry. I mean, these guys, they make their living running the ball. They'll throw once in a blue moon. Jaquan Brooks has passed for 382 yards, but they only do that to keep you off balance and as a surprise factor.
They do.
And it has worked on some occasions. But the way they run the ball, I just wonder if Forest View has the ability to make a couple stops.
Again, there we go again. The defense has to step up for Forest View. You've got to be able to stop them. Everybody that you can look at has tried. The only one that come close was Hunter Huss, but that was, to me, after South Point.
Go figure.
Oh, it does.
Of all the teams that almost beat South Point this year, it was Hunter Huss.
It was.
Much like Kings Mountain in the
But now,
Burns game.
South Point in that game turned the ball over.
Right.
So if they're going to turn it over, Forest View is going to make a living off the passing game if they're going to turn it over.
Well,
if South Point does not turn the ball over, or maybe only turns it over one time in the game, I don't see Forest View winning this game.
Well, this is going to be one of those games where if South Point turns it over once or twice early and Forest View gets up by 2 to 3 scores, you could just about stick a fork in South Point. They'll be done because they won't have the ability to catch up. But if they play their game and continue to churn like they always do, we've seen them do it 3 times this year against quality opponents, tied or behind or real close at halftime, and then keep churning in the second half and just end up pulling away.
What is your over and under?
On that game, I'm going to say right at 90, 95 points.
You really think so?
I think
got
so.
a good feeling that's what it's going to be.
I think a 40s game. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and be back to get a little more in depth on the Burns-Shelby game. So stick around on the KTCBroadcasting.com.
Your sports leader is Big O Country, 1390 AM WHS in Shelby, 1590 AM WCSL, Cherryville, Gastonia, 1050 AM WLON Lincoln, and online at KTCBroadcasting.com. Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
Your number one choice for drain service in Cleveland County is Drain Cleaners of Shelby. From slow to clogged drains, to sewer odors, to moving or installing a drain, or even adding a drain, see Drain Cleaners of Shelby. With state-of-the-art inspection cameras, locating equipment, and high-pressure jetters. From residential to commercial, just call 1-800-440-CLOG for a free estimate. They'll make sure your drains are actually draining. That's Drain Cleaners of Shelby. Yes, Cleveland County, you do have a train dealer. From Kings Mountain to Polkville, from Lawndale to Bellwood, from Falston to Earl, Roland Black Heating and Air will be there for you. They're only a phone call away at 704-865-1375. In minutes, a comfort specialist will be at your door for your heating or cooling needs. Yes, it's hard to stop a train. Again, call Roland Black Heating and Cooling at 704-865-1375. Your hometown train dealer for over 36 years.
The 89th Annual Cleveland County Fair is set for September 26th through October.
Your Yodel wood stove dealer is Future Energy Company in Shelby. Come on in now and see how you can save $1,000 on a new Yodel wood stove. And be sure to ask about the Yodel limited lifetime warranty. And one easy air control lever will operate the entire stove. Come on in and see the big selection of Yodel wood stoves on display at Future Energy Company, 130 West Graham Street in Shelby. Visit the website at futureenergyco.com for more information on the full line of Yodel wood stoves.
Blanton Cars is slashing down payments. We offer down payments as low as $500. We are the most experienced buy here, pay here dealer in Cleveland County. We have cars as new as 2010 models that we will finance in-house. We don't look at your past credit. Your job is your credit here. We have payment plans to fit your budget. Stop by today and let us put you in the car you deserve. Blanton Cars has 2 locations to serve you in Shelby. East Dixon Boulevard, across from Super 8 Motel, and West Dixon Boulevard, next to Meineke Mufflers.
Welcome back. Sam Davis along with Terry Reinhart on the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show brought to you by KTCBroadcasting.com. We want to allow another caller to come in. Boy, we are popular tonight. You get, Terry, you get these big games, and people get excited and they want to talk about it.
I was excited coming here. Much less, I'm not even going to the
Would you
game.
forget where to come because you were about 10 minutes late?
Well, I mean, first of all, you got to calm yourself down before you get here.
You do,
I
don't
was
you?
too pumped. How's that?
Too pumped. Well, let's see. We've got a caller on the line. Caller, is this Seth?
Yes, it's Seth.
Hello, Seth. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Sitting here at the parking lot at Shelby High School, getting ready for the big Burns and Shelby game tonight.
Well, are you taking your little nip in the parking lot? What are you doing just sitting in the parking lot? Shouldn't you be in the stadium?
I wondered about that. I figured I had to get time to make my call in before everything got situated. But,
All right.
I understand.
And it
if
would
it's half as good as I expect it to be, then I think we're in for something special. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored tonight. I really do.
Uh-huh.
I think 31-24 Burns just has a little bit more depth as athletes, shall we say.
Well, I want to tell you something that people has told me. If Shelby scores over 20, that Coach Beam's going to be mad.
Well, that may be.
I mean,
that's just the way I feel because Shelby could score too with R.J. George, but to me, the difference to me, I feel that Shelby's defense can be susceptible to giving up the big plays, and I think that could be the difference. And we know Chris Montgomery and Tylen Ruff and Co., they are very capable of making big plays.
well, I know last Saturday when we had Coach Ware on, he said the biggest improvement on their team lately has been their defense. He says, at the start of the year they gave up a lot of points, and he says slowly and steadily that defense is starting to come together. And, when you got Burns that only gives up 10 points a game, and Shelby's is coming down a little bit, but the Shelby's defense has to keep them in the game tonight.
I would agree. I would agree I would agree. I mean, like I said, this is going to be the biggest test Shelby's defense has had in quite a while, though, I would say, with just the weapons that Burns has.
Well, Seth, Shelby hasn't really been tested in the last 5 weeks, having wins over East Rutherford, East Burke, Kings Mountain, Chase, and RS. They were tested against AC Reynolds and South Point, which both those games they lost. And but those were two very good teams, and of course AC Reynolds has an outstanding offense and a pretty weak defense, as they gave up about 70 to Irwin a few weeks ago. But the South Point game, Shelby hung in there and played them very tough, which impressed me. But still, they ended up losing that game. But the Shelby defense, to me, the weakness on Shelby is not their defense as much as it is their offensive line. Will they be able to keep the pressure off R.J. George? Because that defensive front for Burns, those kids are for real.
Absolutely.
Are you a Burns graduate, Seth?
No, I'm not. I'm not a graduate, so I just was looking for a game tonight and picked this one.
Well, I was just trying to find out if you were maybe a little biased, but this is your professional opinion.
This is a professional opinion.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoy the game tonight. We appreciate you calling. Have you seen Burns or Shelby play this year?
Not in person, but that's about to change.
All right. Well, you should be in for a doozy. As we just talked with Calvin Hastings a few minutes ago, this Burns at Shelby game should be a great game. And we're going to see some the tree shake out tonight, I guess you'll say, as to who's for real. And I think even regardless of the score or how this turns out, I think they're both for real.
Well, Seth, I want to mention something to you. I just got something thrown at me. It says that you're from Gaffney. So if you have went and watched Gaffney play football down there, back in the old days, Gaffney was pretty stout.
He's gone. Okay, I want to thank Seth for the phone call and hope he enjoys the game over there today. And we've got another caller calling in.
There was one thing I meant to ask him.
Okay.
Which side was he sitting on?
Hey, that's a good question. Probably wherever he finds a parking spot, whichever side's the closest. But we've got another caller on the line. And caller, David Keever, maybe?
It is.
Hey, David, how are you today?
West Lincoln.
Well, David, we've talked real big about the Shelby Burns and the South Point Forest View, but we opened the show talking about the West Caldwell West Lincoln game, and we feel like Terry feels real strongly that although West Lincoln is highly favored over West Caldwell, this is a huge game for West Lincoln. Your thoughts?
Well, it definitely is. It's one that, could be a trap game for them, sitting in the middle of a couple big games. Newton Confer last week, Maiden next week, and West Lincoln sitting here at homecoming tonight. And everybody knows how those homecoming games can be. A lot of times kids, football players in general, can lose focus of the task at hand. And West Lincoln better worry about winning the football game first. You look at West Caldwell and what they've done on the season, guys. They were blown out their first 3 games of the year. They didn't even score a point. But then they started playing a little better. And they actually won a game. They defeated Inca a few weeks back. And then a week after that, they played Bandy's very close, a 28-25 game. And we're also in the game with Maiden last week until halftime. They played Maiden very good half, but were beaten by about 20 points overall in the second half and come away with a loss. But this team is really on the rise. They ended their long losing streak earlier this year, and they just began to play better. And, you know, West Lincoln with bookend games around this one with Newton Conover and Maiden, better be wary of tonight. I think West Caldwell could play them a tough game.
Well, David, there's one thing that you're going to get to see again, which, I mean, you're familiar with West Lincoln also. You've got the number 2 rusher in the league and the number 4 rusher in the league coming in, Daniel Davila and Miguel Corella. And really, Miguel Corella has really put a spark in the West Lincoln people because he can run that quarterback spot. But also on West Caldwell, I hear their quarterback is pretty decent here lately.
Yeah, I've heard talk about him, Terry. I haven't really gotten to see the West Caldwell quarterback on film or anything, but I'm sure we'll get to call his name out quite a bit tonight. But, yeah, on the West Lincoln side, you're exactly right. This team goes as Miguel Corella X. I mean, he's the leader of this team back there at quarterback. He's got another leader back there with him in Davila. These two, even though they get some big runs out of other players at times, this offense still revolves around these two guys, and West Lincoln's got to have both of them in order to be productive. And you know what? So far on the year, they have lived the billing. They have done exactly what they needed to do to live. And that's why this team's sitting at 6-1 this year, is because of those two guys.
Well, another reason, too, is you look back and you saw, as I did last week, I mean, they're sitting there and everybody's looking for Daniel Davila or Tracy Messer or Miguel Corella, and then all of a sudden there's this kid named Taylor Long. All of a sudden has a big game for 163 yards, and everybody's like, where was this kid at, you know? Yeah,
they've got. I talked with Coach Navy a little bit this week, assistant coach, and also Tom Singh, too. And they've got some guys back there, you know, that can run the ball. I mean, it's just not, you know, even though they have the two leaders that are leading the way, these other guys do a really good job for them filling in on the wings. And, you know, special teams do a chest back there. They've got guys that can take it to the house. But you know what gets overlooked about this one? Team, and here's what I want to talk about a minute, is their defense. I talked with Coach Navy a couple of days ago, and I asked him the question. I said, when was the last time that West Lincoln had this much team speed? And he looked at me, and he said, never. He said, we have always had some guys that could run, but never this many. And that's, you know, that's why their defense is so good, guys. I mean, they nobody breaks big plays on them. They can run down some of the fastest runners that are, you know, that they've been up against. You just can't get a big play on them. And here we are in week 8, or week 9 actually, but the 8th game. They've only given up a maximum of 21 points in a game. They gave 21 points twice. They lost one of those games, but they won one of those games. If you get the whole year, don't give up more than 21 points. That's something about your defense.
Well, David, if you compare defensively West Lincoln to the top 2 leaders in the conference, Maiden and East Lincoln, West Lincoln has given up 132 points through 7 games, but East Lincoln's given up 124 and Maiden 112, so they're not that far apart over in comparison. So the defense has been outstanding for West Lincoln. They're right up there scoring-wise close to East Lincoln, which we've seen East Lincoln just pour the points on a few times this year. But West Lincoln has proven the doubters wrong this year, and I was a doubter in the beginning that in the past we've seen West Lincoln come out 4-0, 4-1, 5-1, and think, well, here they're getting into conference now. They're going to lose their next 6. But this is a West Lincoln team that's much improved over the last 3 or 4 years, and they are actually winning the games against the Bandies, the West Caldwells, the Newton Conovers, winning the ones they need to win.
That's right. They are. You know, the funny thing is we talked about the games they've played lately. They've probably got, other than the Lincoln game, which they dropped a couple weeks ago, they've probably got the meat of their schedule coming up in the last couple of weeks. You know, next week they go to Maiden. Then after that, they got here at West, and then after that, they host East Lincoln. So they've still got some of the tougher teams in the conference to come. But get this. Tonight is West Lincoln's 3rd straight homecoming game.
Yeah.
Yes,
2 weeks ago, they won homecoming at Bunker Hill. Last week they won homecoming at Newton. Tonight they host homecoming, and next week they go to Mason for their homecoming.
Are you kidding
They're
me?
getting used to
4
used to doing
straight
that.
homecomings. How about that?
Well, I want to mention one thing, too, is when you're sitting back and you think of this team has a vision, because you talk to some of the players, and they said, the most ever wins at West Lincoln has been 8. They're 6-1. With 4 games left and plus a playoff game, hopefully. But, when they sit back and they think of that, these guys want to be the all-time leader in wins at West Lincoln, and they want to be the first team to get to the playoffs and win a playoff game.
Yeah, well, that would be something that, they could hang on their hats forever if they were able to do something like that, Terry. And maybe this is the year it happens. I think they have an excellent shot at making the playoffs, even if they don't finish in the 3 and get automatic. Their overall record's going to earn them a wild card, I would imagine. And you know what? This may be the team that can finally get over the hump and win their playoff game, and that would be special.
Well, they will be coming from a tough conference like they have, David. I would think that whoever draws West Lincoln in the first round is not going to be your typical third-place team from a conference. They're going to be
exactly
a quality
right.
opponent.
You're right. I'm sure West is hoping they still continue to play strong and get one of those top 2, because the 2 would probably play at home. But if they wind up dropping a game here or there, or falling to 3rd, or even a wild card, and have to go on the road, they could surprise somebody in the earlier rounds, because they're a pretty good football team.
And I think the biggest thing a lot of them look back on, especially I know the people up at West Lincoln, was how close East Lincoln and Bunker Hill was. I mean, Bunker Hill could have pulled off a win there, and that would have been very huge. And, when other opponents see that a game is that close, then they say, hey, I don't know what they did, but maybe we need to look at that film too.
Yeah, I guess you saw Coach Bias's quote in the paper, some of the ugliest stuff I've ever watched in my life. He wasn't too pleased with their performance last week. And that's how you got to be ready to play each and every week. We talked about this conference, there are no gimmies. There are no gimmies. And East Lincoln found that out last week playing Bunker Hill. And that's what I think West Lincoln has to avoid tonight. There are no gimmies. West Caldwell's coming in here to ruin homecoming. They're playing better than they have all year. And West Lincoln's just got to continue to play well if they want to win the game.
Well, David, thank you so much for calling. And you're absolutely right. This could be a trap game. West Caldwell on the rise. West Lincoln filling their oats, feeling good about their season, and this could easily be one that they don't prepare for properly. So good luck tonight. We hope you have a great crowd. Homecoming tonight at West Lincoln should be a great night there for high school football.
Yes, it should, guys. I appreciate it, and I just want to tell you this. I'll have one ear on this game, and my other ear will be listening for that Shelby Burns and South Point Forestry score. It's a big night tonight in high school football.
It absolutely is.
It
awesome.
is.
Well, thank you, David Keever, so much for calling. David will be covering the West Caldwell at West Lincoln on WLON 1050 AM. Also on radio tonight, we have on WOHS 1390, Burns is at Shelby. On WCSL 1590 AM, Cherryville is at Highland Tech. And on the video schedule tonight on KTCBroadcasting.com, Gaston County Game of the Week, one of our personal games of the week. South Point's at Forest View along with Derek Smith, maybe Daniel Howell, and Kevin Hastings is with that crowd today. Folks, that game is so big they had to call the boss in to go help them. It's just a huge game. East Burke travels over to Crest for what is thought to be a snoozer. Tonight, Andy Foster, Tim Foster, and Rob Roop will bring you all the action. And the Burns at Shelby game, such a big game, we had to send 2 crews, 2 points of view. Calvin Hastings and Dan Greer will bring you the Shelby point of view. They'll bring you the Burns point of view. I'm sorry. And Brent Pasco and Jeff Jones will bring you the Shelby point of view. And East Lincoln travels over to Newton Conover with Clint Spencer and Josh Collins. And that's the KTC broadcasting schedule for tonight. So stick around. We're going to be right back after this quick break and bring you some more high school football.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. Street, 1390 AM WHS in Shelby, 1590 AM WCSL, Cherryville, Gastonia, 1050 AM WLON Lincoln, and online at ktcbroadcasting.com.
Norris Merchandise's beautiful furniture with bedroom, living room, and dining room furniture by the famous brands. Norris Merchandise's hardware, everything from nuts and bolts to lawnmower blades. Norris Merchandise's Carhartt clothing, featuring Carhartt workwear, casual wear, and rugged outdoor wear. And Norris Merchandise is an archery shop with a complete line of archery equipment and accessories. That's Norris Merchandise, 2011 South Lafayette Street, Shelby, online at norrismerchandise.com or on Facebook.
The 20th anniversary sale is underway at Keith's Carpet and Floor Covering in Shelby. It's hard to believe, but Keith and Cindy Edwards have been bringing you the best in carpet and installation now for 20 years. Try by this week and check out their 20th anniversary carpet and floor covering specials. And, of course, you get professional installation. Congratulations on 20 big years. Keith's Carpet and Floor Covering, 1162 East Marion Street in Shelby.
Where are you eating breakfast today? Have you tried the Hub Cafe located inside Medical Arts Pharmacy? The Hub opens at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. on Saturday, serving an old-fashioned country breakfast at affordable prices. You'll find homemade biscuits, bacon, country sausage, country ham, liver mush, eggs, omelets, all cooked to order on the grill. Call 487-0511 or come on into the Hub Cafe for a delicious country breakfast located inside Medical Arts Pharmacy, 108 Grover Street, Shelby.
The Round Man, Okie Knipe, invites you into Okie's Tire and Service Center for all your tire and auto service needs. Okie gives you the best value in tires, both new and used tires, and they'll mount and balance your tires free. Come into Okie's Service Center for all your service needs, including radiator flush, brakes, tune-ups, oil changes, and state inspections. Serving Cleveland County since 1978. That's right, over 35 years. Okie's Tire and Service Center, 800 West Warren Street in Shelby.
S&M Sports Shop is now your dealer for Under Armour sports apparel in Cleveland County. Come by and see the selection of Under Armour shirts, shorts, shoes, socks, and sunglasses. The team at S&M, Mike, Suzanne, Luke, Shannon, Dale, Ken, Darren, Dennis, and Charlie, is now your team outfitter for all local schools in whatever sport you play. They have leather jackets for all local high schools. Plus, S&M is your headquarters for Oakley Sunglasses. For all your athletic needs, go to S&M Sports Shop, located at 707 South Lafayette Street in Shelby.
And it's a showdown Friday night here at the ktcbroadcasting.com as we have got the Burns at Shelby, South Point at Forest View. We've got other games on tap. We've talked about West Caldwell at West Lincoln. And, Terry, let's get into some of the other games. An interesting game, although, not a lot of interest in it probably, but 1-6 Cherryville travels to 1-6 Highland Tech. But records out the window, you have got two teams that are vying for that Southern Piedmont 1A title, and Highland Tech, no losses in conference, Cherryville with only one, so this is a big game for these guys.
It is, and spoke to a few of the coaches for Cherryville, and they were kind of disappointed. They come out on the losing end last week after jumping out 14-0, and then they was hollering that they just couldn't block nobody. And Thomas Jefferson stayed in the game and then took the lead at the end to win it. But they were kind of disappointed in that. And now they're making that trip down to Highland Tech. Running back Josh Crawford run for 137 yards last week for Highland Tech. If he can put up another performance like that tonight, Cherryville, be careful, because the last thing you want to do is lose this game. The Cherryville is 8-0. They first met back in 2002. Cherryville won that game 35-14, but they have played a game in 2008 that Cherryville won in overtime 42-35.
Well, this certainly, and nobody's assuming this, but this is a level of football that is nowhere near the Shelbys, the South Points, the Burns, the Kings Mountain, even the Kings Mountain. Well, it might be a little closer to Kings Mountain, though. But these guys go out there, they do the work all summer, they do the work in the fall, they play their hearts out, they give their all for their schools, so they need to be respected in that point. So Cherryville travels to Highland Tech tonight in a big showdown for the Southern Piedmont 1A game. Also tonight, we've got East Lincoln, number 2 in the state, is traveling over to Newton Conover, who is 2-5. But as we've seen in this conference, especially after last week, when East Lincoln struggled past a undermanned Bunker Hill team, anything could happen. And this is another one of those games where East Lincoln has got to bring their A game.
It is. They're the number 2 2A team in the state of North Carolina. You're going over to Newton Conover, and you really don't know what to expect. How many of them guys come back?
That's true.
How many of them didn't? I mean, you right now you have no clue. Only film you saw was last week when West Lincoln just rolled over them. But was that film good for you? I mean, it'd be hard for me to judge by that film. You know,
generally, I think a lot of times these coaches will trade at least 2 or 3 films, and so they've probably seen, and the coaches share with each other from other schools, so they've probably seen them at their best and last week at their worst. But we got a text from Kevin Hastings a little while ago who told us that as of today, a final decision had not been made on the situation up at Newton Conover on those players, whether the suspensions were for the remainder of the year or for just a game or two. So more to come out of that story. A lot of little under the cover stories going on in high school football in the area. An issue at Forest View earlier this year with a couple of kids. You've got something rumbling over at South Point right now with a kid that was from Charlotte that has just moved back to the West Meck program or West Meck school. So just interested to see how these stories are going to play out. But it seems like there's always a little bit of this every year that comes out.
Here's my question for this game. When you first started the year, nobody had any clues for Chaz Surratt.
Oh, gosh.
He just totally dominated games by himself. In the last few games, I've seen people starting to be able to stop him. Bunker Hill did a good job. Lincoln had held him to 9 yards in the whole first half.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's still a guy that averages 305 yards of total offense a game by himself. Is it starting to be where he's relied on too much, or its defense is starting to be able to say, you know what, if we do this, we can stop him?
Well, regardless of your offense or what it is you're doing, these defensive coaches can game plan. If they see what you do, they can take that away one way or the other. Now, they're going to have to give up something somewhere to do that, but that's what we've seen them do. They say, and if they're going to put all their cookies in the basket of Chaz Surratt, we're going to take away that. We're going to block that basket.
Yes.
And that's what we're seeing. And East Lincoln has got to become more well-balanced with other players because, you know, you don't want your whole season to go away just because of a bad knee on Chaz Surratt. Develop the running game, develop the other players, continue to develop the defense. But this could be one of those games. Although Newton Conover comes in 2-5, East Lincoln number 2 in the state and 6-1. This could another one of those trap games in the Southern District 7.
Yeah, do not overlook it. Newton Conover has won 7 of the last 10 in this series, but East Lincoln's won the last 2.
And that's all that matters is most recently.
It is.
Well, our final game on the KTC broadcasting schedule tonight, East Burke, 1-6, travels over to number 8 in the state, 3A polls, Crest High School. East Burke will come in, and they're going to play their hearts out, and they're going to do their best, and they're disciplined from talking to the coach earlier this week. They're a very disciplined team. They play hard, but they just don't have the talent. They do have a quarterback, though. He did say the best arm he's seen all year on this quarterback at East Burke. Said, now, it don't always go where the receiver is, but he throws it very, very hard.
Well, East Burke's going to take on a team that's won 28 of their last 36 games. Crest leads this all-time series 8-0. The only game that's ever been close in this series, they say, was in 1995, 20-12. Crest won that one. I don't know. This may be one of them matchups where an East Burke never matches up with a Crest, and maybe never will. You know, but this should be an easy win. Crest playing at home, the number 8 3A team in the state. They're 6-1, 4-0 in the conference. It should be a game that Crest wins pretty handily.
Well, Crest has really turned it on the last few weeks against Chase and Kings Mountain. The running game, they've got all their players back. Jalen Moore, who has scored, I think, 8 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks from either the running back position or kickoff returns, is back and healthy. His senior running back. Trey Harbison, who carried the load while Jalen Moore was out. Sophomore running back who has caught some eyes and has already got some offers from some major Division I schools as a sophomore. We saw him have some big games. So they're beginning to come around and figure things out. and they've won about 6 in a row, I believe. They lost to South Point to open the season and now won 6 in a row. So Crest beginning to get on a roll. We're going to find out more about them in the next few weeks as they take on Burns and Shelby. So, but this week the big game is Burns at Shelby. Also, Terry, on the schedule tonight, not on the KTC broadcasting schedule, we've got all those games we've covered, but you guys are going to be covering other area games. East Gaston at Ashbrook. North Gaston goes to Chase. Now, that's an interesting game. North Gaston at Chase, you got two teams, both run the triple option.
North Gaston at Chase. You can't handle Cleveland County. Can you handle Gaston County?
Hey, poor Chase. That Coach Bailey threw out the gauntlet this summer, said, we're coming to beat Cleveland County, and he had got smoked by
yes, he has.
3 of them.
You know, so here's Gaston County coming up there to play in your arena. So 5-2. You know, but North Gaston's lost their last 2. Is this a game that they can bounce back and get back on the winning track?
It should be a good game. They both run the same offense. They both can't say much about either one of them's defense, so it could be a very entertaining game. But North Gaston travels over to Chase tonight. Thomas Jefferson will be playing the Community School of Davidson in what should be a pretty easy game for Thomas Jefferson. But we really don't know a lot about Community School of Davidson nor Pine Lake Prep. Those are some outer area schools that are in that conference.
Well, now let me tell you what I think about this conference. I sat back last week, and when I said Community School of Davidson going to Bessemer City whacks them. Well, every score I kept coming in was the game was close. Final score ended up being 38-30.
Right, absolutely.
A final. I mean, you know, and I was like, how in the world did Community School of Davidson play with Bessemer City? So, you know, this is another one of them games.
Well,
can they play with Thomas Jefferson, or is Thomas Jefferson's defense a little bit better than what I'm thinking?
You know, I don't think any of them have a whole lot of defense in that conference, but on a head-to-head basis, maybe competitive. That game against Bessemer City last week was more competitive than I expected it to be.
Oh, it was for me.
But then again, Bessemer City is not a world beater in and of themselves. No. But within that conference, this could be a very competitive little matchup. Lincolnton travels over to Bunker Hill, and we've got a note here. Heard T-Jeff hasn't. You're whispering. I can't understand.
Oh, yeah. He's talking about the opponents that Thomas Jefferson has played not being some of the greatest opponents. So, you know, and I guess that does figure in a lot. It really does. And like I said, I have not seen Community School of Davidson. Right. I have no clue of what they've got, you know, but they kind of impressed me last week putting up 30 against Bessemer City. And speaking of Lincoln and at Bunker Hill, a lot of people think this is a trap game for Lincoln, making that trip over to Bunker Hill, because I've talked to a bunch of coaches and they think Bunker Hill's defense is a lot better than people are giving them credit for over there. And if you go by last week, and even though Coach Bias said, hey, man, it's one of the worst games I've ever seen us play, you know, they held them to 14 points and only got beat 14-10.
Yeah.
So they were in the game with an opportunity to win.
And I haven't seen the box score, but I doubt East Lincoln fumbled the ball or threw 9 interceptions. But Bunker Hill, maybe much like West Caldwell, improving as the season goes along, although they started out hot with their non-conference schedule, but 0-3 in the conference. But this could be a very competitive game. I would lean towards Lincolnton pulling this out, but Bunker Hill almost took out number 2 East Lincoln last week. Who knows?
Well, when we look at it, and I say Lincoln leads the all-time series 7-1. Take a guess on when the last time Bunker Hill won. Way back in 1975.
Oh, that don't apply.
You know,
That's been a while, hasn't it?
That's a long time.
That is a long time. Well, East Rutherford travels over to Drawn tonight. Hunter Husk goes to Lake Norman Charter. Pine Lake Prep plays at Bessemer City. Maiden over to Bandy's, and Bandy's comes in at 3-4. Maiden 7-0. Another big Southern District 7 athletic 2A conference game. Dan, what do you think?
Well,
possible.
Here's one of them series that become pretty heated here lately. When this series first started, in the first 28 times, Bandy's never won a game. Maiden was 25-0-3 against them when they first started this series. But in the last 32 games, Maiden has won 20. Bandy's has won 12, and a lot of these games have been real close lately. You know, I think the final score last year, and if I'm not mistaken, was 7-0. Maiden won a game. over Bandy's. So, I mean, it was very competitive. And tonight, Bandy's always gets prepared to play Maiden, and they've got them at home tonight. So.
Well, it's a rivalry game for sure. So one of those anything could happen games. You would expect Maiden to win that game, but you never know. That's why they play them.
You do. And the only thing you have to worry about, Jake McCree, one of the top quarterbacks in the league over there.
Yeah, the kid throws the ball well.
Yes, he does.
Mooresville will travel to North Lincoln, Lancaster over at Clover, and the last game they're going to be trying to get some information on is one that intrigues me. Kings Mountain is going to be traveling to RS. Now, you've got two teams here that are like 2 and something. Let me find them on my standings here. Yeah, Kings Mountain comes in last in the league, 2-6. 0-5 in the conference against RS Central, who is 2-4, 1-3 in the conference. Now, the importance of this game is not that they both bottom dwellers, but the importance is they've got 2 wins. They need at least 4 to qualify for the playoffs, and 5 would help a lot. But with only 4 games left, these guys are going to have to get busy or they're not going to play. So this is huge for these 2 teams.
Well, it's the first matchup for these 2 squads since 2008. RS Central, I was really impressed when they played Crest.
Right.
They played them very stout in the first half, and Crest pulled away in the second. Kings Mountain, they played Burns awful tough, but every game after that, I've wondered where they went. I don't even think they showed up for the bus to take the trip to the game. So, I don't know.
They have Greg Lloyd, the coach over there, has had another. He's had this happen 2 or 3 times in his tenure over there. Just a tough year with injuries,
a lot of
discipline issues, and he's having to play freshmen. Last week's game against Crest, although they lost 49-0, 43-7 rather. He was starting a true freshman, a freshman at running back, a freshman at wide receiver, and a freshman at quarterback. So now these are kids that this time last year were in the 8th grade at middle school. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother level of speed football in middle school, because generally those kids will move up from middle school to JV. Game's a little faster, but varsity's way faster. Well, here you're asking these kids to try to be competitive on a varsity playing field, but they're taking their lumps this year. But in a couple of years, those kids are going to be really good.
Well, as you were speaking just then, you had 8th graders last year who have moved up, have not even seen JV. JV's faster than what you play at the middle school.
Absolutely.
And these guys are not even seeing that. They're going from 8th grade to top speed in varsity football, and what a game, what a difference it makes. It changes real fast.
So they're really struggling, Kings Mountain is this year, but they're doing it with a lot of real youth. And they're going to get things together eventually. If those kids can just hang in there, that program's going to be turning around in a couple of years. They've got a beautiful new field house under construction there. Very enthusiastic crowd at Kings Mountain, just like up at Burns. Those people get excited. It's what I've always called a closed community. It's us against the world type mentality at Kings Mountain, and they grow some good athletes. They've had some success over the years, and I'm expecting them to continue to get better in the next couple of years, especially with this young talent.
I agree with you.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here at the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show, and we're going to bring back the final segment as we come back to discuss our players of the week, polls and streaks, and maybe just drop in some Carolina Panthers information. All right, stick around.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
When accidents happen, it's reassuring to know that quick expert care is nearby. Carolina's Healthcare Urgent Care Shelby is now open and is staffed with experienced physicians, mid-level providers, nurses, and support personnel equipped with on-site laboratory and x-ray services. So keep our new location and contact information close by for immediate access to the region's preferred healthcare and largest physicians network. Carolina's Healthcare Urgent Care. 1010 East Dixon Boulevard, Shelby.
Shelby Savings Bank.
It's just better here.
With local decisions,
Better.
flexibility,
Better.
and knowing how to treat people.
It's just better. Better.
It's just better here.
We're here to help our neighbors do better.
It's just better here.
With our best deal mortgage guarantee.
It's just better. Better. Better.
Better here. Great products.
It's just better here.
And 2 convenient locations.
It's just
better here. Now more than ever, Shelby Savings Bank. It's just better here. Member FDIC.
We all hear about how good the barbecue is in Lexington, Greensboro, and in eastern North Carolina. But here in Cleveland County, we all know that the best barbecue is here. At Alston Bridges Barbecue, Kent and Linda Bridges and their family make sure the staple of their restaurant is the best barbecue. Your choice, pork, beef, or chicken, plus delicious sides, such as slaw, beans, fries, and hush puppies. The best since Alston and Mabel opened in 1955. Alston Bridges Barbecue, 620 Grover Street, right here in Shelby.
Your sports leader is Big O Country, 1390 AM WOHS in Shelby, 1590 AM WCSL, Cherryville, Gastonia, 1050 AM WLON Lincoln, and online at KGCBroadcasting.com.
And welcome back to the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. Sam Davis, along with Terry Reinhardt, Steve Roberts, our engineer, bringing you all the high school information you need for tonight's games. And I understand we have a caller on the phone. And Mr. Pasco, is that you?
No, it's actually Jeff Jones, Brent's right-hand man.
Okay, Jeff Jones, thank you so much for calling. Are you in the press box?
I am in the press box, and I just want to tell everybody there's still a little bit of time if they want to come over here to Blanton Memorial Stadium, Hurley Allen Field. It's going to be an exciting place tonight. I called in a few weeks ago. We were getting ready to play Kings Mountain, and I was talking about how the level of excitement in the stands, and I tell you what, that's nothing compared to the way it is right now. I think the Burns stands are I think they're about 3/4 full now with an hour to go before the football game, and so it's a lot of excitement here tonight.
Coach Jones, I got a question for you. I know when games like this come around and you got R.J. George, is this the game? This is a game that he can really make a name for himself against Burns' defense. Can he step up?
Well, that's being an old football coach, for 20-something years. That's the old cliche. The reason it's a cliche is because it's about half true, and that's why you play the game. I think that RJ has really grown a tremendous amount this year. He's been making really good decisions, and so I tell you what, I know it'll be a great challenge, but I think he's up for it.
Do you feel that the attack point for Burns is going to be the offensive line for Shelby, that they're going to try to just keep pressure on RJ?
Well, I think so. I would imagine that when RJ has got such a nice completion percentage, and he's got a lot of weapons. I mean, that's one of the big differences I would say Shelby this year versus Shelby over the last 5 to 10 years. Is that they've got a lot of young men that can catch the ball, and so I've been watching Shelby all year. I've got to see a little bit of Burns on film, but I've mainly been watching Shelby, and I would imagine that Burns having the large linemen that they have and everything, I think their idea would be put some pressure on George, and I know if I was trying to coach the Burns team against the Golden Lions, I would try to make them one-dimensional. So first off, you got to make sure that they can't run the ball, and then if you get them to the point where they can't run the ball, then you can really, you can do some interesting things up front to put pressure on George.
Is it not one of them things, buddy? You going into this game, and all the coaches have probably looked over everything they can do and changed a lot of plans because if Burns is going to put pressure on him, if you do some quick outs, that's going to stop that pressure from coming.
Well, and that's the thing, that he's done a good job this year. One of the big differences I've noticed just, from the second or third ball game when we were up at South Point, we were covering that game, and there were 2 or 3 times that he made a throw, and it would have required just a perfect throw, 20 yards downfield between 2 defenders, and he could have made a throw into the flat. And he was trying to make that, really difficult throw. But in the last 4 or 5 weeks, what I've really noticed about him is that he's surveyed the field and he's looked out in the flat and he's made that throw. And, Shelby's got a few running backs that you can throw that ball out to them in the flat, and sometimes that 3-yard pass can turn into a 60-yard pass. And so I think that that's something that Burns is definitely going to have to take a look at.
Well, I know last week we talked to Coach Ware, and he was talking about their defense. And don't get me wrong, I know the competition that he's played, Chase, Kings Mountain, East Burke, and East Rutherford, is not like a South Point or AC Reynolds or anybody. But he's very impressed with how his defense is starting to come around.
Well, they have. They started to come around, and one of the things that has helped them is, at the very beginning of the season, they had a couple of guys that were out, at the beginning of the season. And then, the first 2 or 3 ball games, they had a couple other injuries. But what's happened now is some of those injured guys that weren't here at the beginning, well, they're back now. And then some of the guys that have gone down before, since then, they're back. And so it helps to have a lot of people that you can run in and out because, so many teams now, are going to this spread attack, and nobody huddles anymore really, and so you've got to run people in and out, and when you've got 6 defensive linemen instead of just 4, it really does help. So that's helped them a little bit, and even as early as the South Point game, I could see that they were starting to do some things the way they wanted to do them, and against South Point, though, I mean, if you're not perfect pretty much every play, you can turn around and they'll score 21 points in about 3 minutes.
And they do.
You're exactly right.
Coach Jones, I do have a quick question for you. You've coached a lot of years at Shelby High School, so you spent a lot of Saturdays and Sundays game planning against opponents.
That's right.
What do you see Shelby's game plan against Burns? What is their emphasis that they're going to try to work on tonight against Burns defensively?
Well, what do you think that Shelby wants to do defensively?
Right.
Or against Burns? What does Shelby want to do defensively?
Right.
That's having not really studied Burns very much. I'm going to have a hard time saying that. Plus, I got to be honest with you. I was an offensive line coach, so I tend to my tendency is to kind of look at what's happening with our offense against their defense. But I will tell you this. We always have an idea that you go into a big rivalry game and you say, okay, what can I do differently? How can I make some changes of pace? But there's also a lot of we've done what we've done and it's worked, and so we've got to make sure we stay with that as well. So the wrinkles are things that everybody notices, but some of the things that actually win the ball game are just if you've been running that 5-yard out. Make sure you keep running that 5-yard out, and if they have to take that away, well, there's always something that comes off of that. There's a 5-yard out, but there's also a 12-yard curl behind that. So you may throw that 5-yard out, and that's all everybody ever sees, but that 12-yard curl has always been there. And so you make that team take away what you've been doing, but then you hit that complementary play. And so, that's what Burns has done a really good job of, the last several years. I've got to cover the Burns Shelby game for the last 3 years, and Burns has done a really good job of if Shelby was able to shut down one of the running backs, well then the quarterback had a big game. If Shelby was able to shut down the receiver, well the running back had a big game, and so they've done a nice job of that, and I think that's what Shelby's just gonna try to take what Burns Burns has to make a decision. What are you going to do, because you can't stop everything. So that's probably a lot more words than you wanted to hear, but that's the best I can say.
Well, Tylen Ruff leads the conference in rushing for Burns with 1,005 yards, and Chris Montgomery, I don't have his rushing stats, but I do know that he's pretty quick. That if they start keying on Ruff, then he has the ability to create with his legs. So I see Burns as being a little more.
And so I hope what I really hope is I hope that both teams play well. I mean, sometimes when you have one of these big county matchups, and both teams are going to come out sky high, and then 2 or 3 things can happen, and they can get snowballing on you. And I just really hope that both teams play well tonight, because I think if they do, I think we're in for just a heck of a ball game.
Well, Coach, I want to say one more thing as you get ready to leave. I know in big games you take out all the big stars away from it. They always tell me it's won on the line. So whoever has the biggest input from that line or the defensive line could take care of this game.
Well, that's true. And that's what every old offensive line coach will tell you. But we've always said that what your team can do has a lot to do with what your offensive line will let them do. And so, if Burns, has a great night up front and Shelby has a hard time blocking them, it really doesn't matter what kind of plays they're trying to run. They're going to have a hard time. Conversely, if Shelby is able to use their quickness and get into the backfield, have a lot of penetration and things like that, then that's going to be really difficult for Burns to do what they do. So, you're right. Very smart man. When you say things about offense and defensive line, that's where it's won so many times.
And I think in the end, it's going to come down to the emotion, turnovers, and the coaches and the adjustments they make during the game. As you mentioned a minute ago, if they take away this, what do we fall back on to make them pay for it? And I think it's going to be just an outstanding game. Two great coaches, Lance Ware and Matt Beam.
Oh, yes.
We've seen Matt Beam come into Burns and just take that program through the roof.
Well, they've got some. They've got the thing you got to remember is there's a lot of good assistant coaches in there too, and so it's a team effort. The head coach sets the tone, and then the assistants they do a lot of the work behind the scenes. And then I guess the only thing we hadn't mentioned and we hit Shelby feel pretty good about this part of the game is the special teams. And in a close game, the special teams really can really make a difference. I know a couple of those years that we won state championship, back to back, 2005, 2006. Our punter, basically helped us win the state championship game when we played Reedsville up in Chapel Hill, because he kept just putting them in awful field position. They were always having to go 85, 90 yards, and he hit a couple of long field goals for us and things like that. And so that's also a big deal especially if it's a close game.
Well, both programs have good field goal kickers, although I think Hayek is the kicker for Shelby. This kid's got a strong leg, and it could come down to that. It could come down to one of these kickers having to win the game at the end.
Well, Coach,
and you're right. They both had some good kickers over the years too. I know that we had Tyler Ash, set the state record at Burns when he was kicking for Shelby. He set the state record at Burns, and then the very next year, Clint, Engel, I believe, for Burns, beat that record over here at Shelby. He kicked like a 60-some yard field goal, and Tyler had kicked a 57-yard field goal the year before, and so that's pretty unheard of to have back-to-back years kickers for different the opposing teams setting state records.
Well, one thing I'll say about this thing, Coach, you go in tonight. Shelby's longest streak, they won 9 games in a row in one stretch from 81 through 88. Burns' longest streak has been 3. They've done for 3 times. Now, this could be number 4, so your team's trying to stop them from winning 4 in a row.
It could be, and one of the things to keep in mind though is that none of these players have been here longer than 3 years, and so for them, they know about these streaks, but as far as they're concerned, I mean, it's this is the game, and so you really can't get too worried about those. That might be something that the coaches know a lot more about, because they're the ones that'll be around 10 or 15 years. But it is a big thing, and I know that Burns is just they're looking forward to getting that 4th win in a row, and Shelby's just as hopeful to put an end to that. So, like I said, I think I know one thing. It's a very exciting atmosphere right now. The stands are, people are making their way into the stands. There's lots of media here. There's, everywhere you look, you see the big game. And so I think it's neat that we're going to have this one, and then 2 weeks from now, then Burns and Crest are going to play, and then the week after that, Shelby and Crest are going to play, and so it's I think it's going to be really exciting, and it's something that we hadn't had in quite some time, to have those big county rivalries, not only being just a county rivalry, but the playoff implications and conference championship implications, and so I think we're in for a real fun month anyway, and then the real fun starts with the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, a big game tonight over at Blanton Memorial Stadium as the Burns Bulldogs travel to face the Shelby Golden Lions. Jeff Jones, Brent Pasco will bring you all the action from the Shelby point of view, and over on the other side of the coin, Calvin Hastings and Dan Greer will bring you the Burns broadcast, all on ktcbroadcasting.com, and actually that game will also be broadcast on WOHS 1390 AM. We're going to take a quick break, then we're going to come back and close things out on week 9 of the Witherspoon Insurance Pregame Show.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
Don't miss the grand opening specials at Gastonia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. You can get up to $15,000 equity assistance to get you right side up or lower your payments. That's right, $15,000. And during the Jeep Celebration event, check out our extensive inventory of new Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, and the all-new 2014 Jeep Cherokee. Gastonia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Now open 7 days a week for your convenience. Located at I-85 and exit 21 and online at GastoniaDodge.com.
Since 1900, the Stamey Funeral Home in Fallston has been serving the families of our area with the finest in funeral service. In 1998, the Tysinger family began to serve the families of the Cherryville community, and today are a proud member of that community, providing services with dignity and respect. Caring for your family like our own, that's their slogan. Come talk with manager Pete Kraft about the services they provide at the Stamey Cherryville Funeral Home, 405 North Dixie Street in Cherryville. Today's high school football broadcast is being brought to you in part by your local Jack in the Box. Visit your nearest Jack in the Box anytime, 24 hours a day. The dining room is open till midnight, Sunday through Thursday, and 24 hours on Friday and Saturday. And of course, the drive-thru is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, it's Jack in the Box, 3618 East Franklin Boulevard in Gastonia, 455 Earl Road in Shelby, and 102 College View Road in Dallas.
Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Nissan. Those are the powerhouse of vehicles you'll find at Marburger in Shelby. Plus quality pre-owned cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. And of course, a service department that is second to no one. So when you're in need of another vehicle, see the friendly staff at Marburger. Marburger, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Nissan. 1310 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby. Proud supporters of our local school athletic teams.
Where are you headed after the big game? To Newt's on the Court Square in Uptown Shelby. Newt's will be open till midnight after the high school football games this season. Come out and celebrate on Friday nights at Newt's. They feature a $5 burger every day. And on Wednesday, our burgers, sandwiches, and wraps are just $5. Newt's features all Angus beef or build your own salad. For after the game or just about any time, it's Newt's. On the Court Square in Uptown Shelby, open 7 days a week until midnight on football Friday nights. Like us on Facebook for our daily specials.
Fall is here. Is it time for a new furnace or heat pump for your home or business? Do you want more comfort from your heating system? Train and Far City Heating and Air can help. Together, Train and Far City Heating and Air provide the most reliable heating systems in the world, bringing you quality, comfort, and guaranteed satisfaction. Train and Far City Heating and Air are offering special year-round Train Comfort Specialist financing specials to make your purchase so easy and your family so comfortable. Call Forest City Heating and Air, your local Train Comfort Specialist dealer, serving Cleveland and Rutherford counties for over 30 years with all of your home comfort needs. Phone 828-245-1379. Remember, it's hard to stop a train. See your participating independent Train dealer or visit Train.com for complete program eligibility dates, details, and restrictions.
And we're back at the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show on ktcbroadcasting.com, and it's 6:55. We got about 3 more minutes to go. A couple more features to cover over. And Terry Reinhardt, we've got the AP polls, and I want to say before you get started, I am so proud of the Cleveland, Lincoln, Gaston area. There's 100 counties in North Carolina.
Yes, they are.
And in those 2 polls, we've got 7 of the 20 spots in these 3 county areas. That's pretty impressive. That's a good form of football. And tell us on these polls who are where.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll start with the 4A, and all I'm going to mention is number 1. Mallard Creek is number 1. They're 7-0 on the year. Haven't really been contested by anybody.
Crushed Butler, didn't they?
They did. The number 1A team is Warsaw Keenan. They are 7-0 on the year. But as you go into the 2A, North Rowan still leads the way at 7-0. East Lincoln comes in at number 2.
Hanging in there.
Yes, they are. And we'll drop down of other teams people have seen around here. Winston-Salem Carver is number 4. Reedsville number 5. Then we drop down there where Shelby is number 8 and Maiden is number 9. And very impressed with what we have in the 2A poll. But then you move up to the 3A, and we are even better. Number 1, you got Havelock is leading the way. That is the longest winning streak in North Carolina at 22 games. They are number 1 in the poll. Coming in at number 2 is South Point. Northern Guilford is 3rd. Burns comes in at number 4. Asheville Reynolds, those 2 are still tied at the number 4 spot. Then you drop down to Concord, Orange County. Here comes Crest in at number 8, Forest View at number 9, and South Airedale fell all the way to number 10 after their loss last week by 1 point to Lake Norman.
And both Crest and Forest View up 1 spot in the 3A polls.
Yes.
So we're fixing to work out the kinks on these teams that are getting into the polls now. Crest, Forest View, South Point. We're going to find out if they're for real or not in these next 4 weeks. Real quickly before we part, we want to give you the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show players of the week from last week. In Gaston County, it was Logan Bradley, 340 yards and 6 touchdowns. Our honorable mention, and don't want to let this one get by, Cedric Mackey, running back over at Bessemer City, 27 carries, 210 yards, and a touchdown in the win over the Community School of Davidson. Over in Cleveland County for the 2nd week in a row, Jalen Moore, running back over at Crest, 10 carries, 227 yards, and 4 touchdowns in a 43-7 win over county rival Kings Mountain. And honorable mention, R.J. George, who's been a big topic tonight in that Burns-Shelby game. He passed for 284 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a win over East Rutherford. The Lincoln County Players of the Week, Miguel Corella, quarterback at West Lincoln, rushed for 209 yards, 4 touchdowns, and that's the quarterback, is that right?
He is. He
rushed for 209 yards and 4 touchdowns in the big win over Newton Conover. And our honorable mention, and I'm going to need some help with this kid's name, he's from running back from Lincolnton, Zontarius Brunt. There's like 16 letters in his first name, Zontarius. He had 5 carries for 134 yards and a touchdown, and not a great night compared to some of the others, but a huge night considering they won by 1 point, 30-29 over Bandies.
I think the big thing there is 5 carries, 134 yards.
Yeah, big game for the kids. So that's going to do it here at the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you can't make it to a game tonight, and we hope you do, but if you can't, be sure to tune in to ktcbroadcasting.com, and we've got all the games on the air tonight. So have a good evening.
Your sports leader is Big O Country, 13.